Just 3 weeks ago, Washington football fans were rejoicing a 27-17 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles in come-from-behind fashion. And now they're benching their starting quarterback. Can it be that it was all so simple then? Can it be that it was all? Can it be that it was all? Can it be that it was all so simple then? Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 98th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Man, we got a lot to get to today. Before I start the show, though, you see my lip? It pays to have a little 2-year-old son, man. Those little bastards are tough as nails, man. And I got this one real physical, okay? Let's get physical. Like, we always wrestling and fighting and slamming each other and tackling me and stuff. It's fun. This is my first, little guy. And man, is he physical. And he headbutted the shit out of me last night. Got me good. Couldn't even be mad because I do a lot of nonsense to him too. And so he got me good. Scratched me the other day on my face. And then he headbutted me. Slapped the shit out of me the other night. And sometimes it's unwarranted. We're not even wrestling. We're not even doing anything physical with one another. I could just have given him a hug. And I look away for 1 second and he will come and just cold cock me. That's my guy, though. Wouldn't trade him for anything in the world. Anyway, I digress. We got a lot to talk about, man. A lot has happened since the last time we've spoken on Monday. It seems like an eternity. We had the breaking news at the end of the Monday pod. I kind of want to expound upon Bill O'Brien getting fired. We see that Dwayne Haskins has been benched in Washington. And there's another coach that's on the hot seat, or a couple of coaches potentially on the hot seat. So that kind of leads me and transitions me into my gym dropping session. So why don't we travel down that route? Let's go. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T double E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So I want to talk about early season trouble. Guys getting benched, coaches getting fired. I want to talk about the early hook, if you will. When is too early? When is when a good enough time? So friends usually know when to say when. But what happens when you say when to a guy that's not your friend? Well, we're finding that out because the Texans got rid of Bill O'Brien in week 4. After the week 4 contest, they fall to 0-4 after a 31-23 loss to the Minnesota Vikings. And I didn't see that one coming. I really didn't see it coming because I felt like this guy had so much control over the organization. I did say this when the DeAndre Hopkins trade was made. I said, look, he had to go to ownership to get the okay, even though he had the vast majority of control over the roster and he was the acting GM. He still had to go to ownership because DeAndre Hopkins was such a big part of that organization and their success. He still had to go to the organization and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. This guy wants another contract. We just gave him new money not too long ago. We can't afford to give this guy a bunch of money again. And so the organization said, look, if you do this, this is on you if it doesn't work. All right. You can do this. We're going to give you our blessing. But if this blows up in your face, you're falling on the sword for this one, buddy. And he said, I totally understand. I get it. He didn't think they were going to start 0-4. He must not have looked at the damn schedule, though. I mean, the schedule makers were like, hey, we're going to get your ass out of here, Bill. Okay? We're going to get you out of here nice and quick. And they didn't do him any favors with that schedule, but they had a chance on Sunday. That was the one they had to win against the Vikings, who were also a winless team at the time. And look, he didn't get it done. And so they fired him. I didn't see it coming. After all of the control that they had given him, to actually fire him after 4 games, I was shocked. Now, 0-4 start is a rough start to a season, but I didn't see that one coming. He's no longer in Houston. Romeo Crennel will take over as the interim head coach there. We'll see how that goes, and we'll see where he lands. He'll land on his feet somewhere. If he wants another head coaching job, I think he's going to have to go to the collegiate ranks to get it. If he wants to just get back into the league, I think he can get an offensive coordinator job like that. I think he'll be back working for someone. New England's always got their doors open to guys that leave New England and get fired. They can always come home. Now, they've got an offensive coordinator in Josh McDaniels, but at some point, he's got to take a head coaching job, right? You assume that at some point, a job's going to open up. Maybe Atlanta opens up. He likes the weaponry they have there. At some point, Josh McDaniels is going to get another head coaching job. You have to think. So Bill O'Brien would probably be more than welcome back to New England, and they'll sing Kumbaya, and he'll end up being a head coach again at some point, I believe. But he'll never have the kind of control he had in Houston. That's for damn sure. Speaking of coaches that are on the hot seat, Dan Quinn with another ugly loss on Monday is now 0-4. Now, they showed the schedule. It's not a daunting schedule. It's a very doable schedule, but when you're 0-4, you have no right to look at a team and say, hey, we should beat them. You haven't won a damn thing, so you can't point to anybody else and say, hey, we need to win this game. And that was proof of the Texans thinking, oh, yeah, we going home. Minnesota's 0-3. We're going to win. And then they got their brains bashed in at the crib, and now they're 0-4. So I don't know if Dan Quinn gets fired during the season. I still contend that their owner, Arthur Blank, is too classy of an owner to fire a guy during the season. But stranger things have happened. He's on the hot seat. So is Adam Gase. They've already come out and said they're not going to fire Gase during the season. But Sam Darnold's not playing this week. Okay, I told you that shoulder injury, we're going to find out just how serious it was, because you can come back in a game, and because the adrenaline is flowing and the soreness, your blood hasn't settled in, and your soreness hasn't set in, and the swelling hasn't set in, you can play. But once everything calms down and that swelling takes place and you start to feel it, it changes things. He's not playing this week against the Cardinals. They're going to lose again. They weren't going to beat the Cardinals anyway, but shit, the Cardinals had lost 2 straight. Nothing was out of bounds. Now they're going to lose again. It could be ugly. This could be 38-3. Remember the last time Sam Darnold didn't play quarterback for the Jets and how bad it was? Yeah, it could get really, really ugly out there for the Jets. And another ugly defeat could be enough to get Adam Gase out of there. We'll see. To me, he's the next guy that has to go. Will it happen during the season? I don't know. Now let's get to some of the quarterbacks. So Mitchell Trubisky was the first quarterback to be benched this year in favor of Nicholas Foles. We saw the writing on the wall when they traded for Nicholas Foles and gave him new money. So we knew they weren't just trading for Nicholas Foles to just be, some figurehead and token, clipboard toting, earpiece holding quarterback. They brought him in to save their season if Mitchell Trubisky couldn't get it done. And I thought they did the right thing by going with Mitch to start, but ultimately Mitch wasn't getting it done to the liking of their head coach, Matt Nagy. They make the switch. It pays immediate dividends in a game that they're trailing 26-16 to the Atlanta Falcons. He comes off the bench, throws 3 fourth-quarter touchdown passes, helps them roar back from a 16-point deficit and ultimately win that game 30-26. Didn't look great in week 4 versus the Indianapolis Colts in a 19-11 loss. That's a damn good Colts defense. But you know what was crazy is that before the season started, there were Vegas odds. You could go out and you could take the odds that were being given to you. First NFL quarterback to be benched. You know who had the highest odds? Okay. Dwayne Haskins. You would have had to pay a lot more money to get a real return on investment, because Dwayne Haskins was the all odds-on favorite to be the first quarterback benched. And I thought that was just ridiculous. No way is Haskins going to be the first quarterback benched. He's going to get 16 games to prove to Ron Rivera, who has already stated that this is a season in which they're going to learn about who they have, and they're going to build a culture, and there's no way this guy's getting benched anytime soon. They got it all wrong. Rarely do the boys in the desert have it wrong, okay? I found that out the hard way. Because I think I know sometimes. And then those boys say, you don't know a goddamn thing. And then I say, you know what? You're right. I don't know. And so they were close. If not for the quick hook of Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago, Dwayne Haskins would have been the first quarterback this season to be benched. And I didn't see this coming. Even with the start to the season, I just didn't see it coming. But what Vegas, I'm not giving Vegas credit for this. I'm not going to do it. What Vegas couldn't have accounted for, but they actually got this to work in their favor, even though they still lost the bet. If someone took that bet, they would have been okay. Bottom line is, the division is so bad in the NFC. And I don't think Vegas didn't see this coming. I don't think anybody thought that at the quarter pole mark of the season, the Eagles would lead the division at 1-2-1. The Cowboys would be 1-3. Now, it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that Washington would be 1-3, 0-4 at this point. Same with the Giants. I think Vegas thought that those two teams were going to stink anyway. But they didn't think Dallas and Philadelphia were going to be trash as well. And so that's really the impetus for this decision, is that, hey, the division is up for grabs and we got a guy back here that we just don't think is ready to lead us to a division crown. Now, whether that's fair or not, I told anybody that would listen before the season started, this is not going to be a fair season. Now, I wasn't talking about for these particular reasons. I was talking about because of COVID-19. This isn't going to be a fair season, but to me, this isn't fair, but no one cares about fair when you're talking about the National Football League. He deserves more of an opportunity to prove that he can get it done, And the fact of the matter is, had Dallas been 3-1, had Philadelphia been 3-1, this isn't a move that's being made right now. We're not even having this discussion. This isn't even being talked about. He's getting ready to start against the Rams in week 5 if this division looks like it's going to be a 2-team race. But because this division is wide open and he's looking around and saying, if we just get steady play at the quarterback position, if we get a guy that hits opportunities when they present themselves, and this is the funny part about this whole discussion, is the guy that they're starting, he's a turnover machine. So if they thought that week 3 against Cleveland was bad and you lost a game because the quarterback turned it over 4 times, if you thought that was bad, what do you think is going to happen moving forward? I liken this to when Washington had to move on from Alex Smith due to the injury back in 2018. And Washington fans, or at that time Redskins fans, got really excited. I know I did. Because the offense was anemic that year. It was atrocious. The defense had played against bad offenses, and so they looked good, but they really were paper champions. It was a house of cards, that season was. We started off the season 6-3, but it was because of the level of competition, not because we were any good. And we said, look, Jay Gruden's going to get to play his guy now. He wanted to play Kirk all along. He didn't want Alex Smith. That was a Bruce Allen move. And so now he's going to get to play his guy. And we said this offense is going to look different because the guy running the offense knows it like the back of his hand, and he's going to get the football out quickly. And this is going to look like night and day. And it did. But you know what also came with that? I said, you're also going to have to deal with Colt McCoy's turnover issues. He's a turnover machine. He's going to throw interceptions. He's going to fumble the football because he's Colt McCoy. And what did he do? We went to Thanksgiving against the Cowboys, and he threw like 2 or 3 interceptions, and he fumbled the football, and we lost. The offense looked better, and we scored some points, but we lost. And I feel the same way about Kyle Allen. This offense is going to look dramatically different. He knows the offense. The ball's going to come out faster. It's going to look a lot more like what they had designed it to look like. But you're also going to get your fair share of turnovers with this guy. He's a fumbling machine. He's going to make some mistakes. He's going to throw some interceptions. You're not going to just all of a sudden start winning ball games because Kyle Allen is in there. And don't think for one second that this hook isn't going to be quick for his ass either. If he stinks it up against the Rams, you could see Alex Smith starting in week 6 versus the Giants. I mean, this thing could really escalate quickly. I was shocked that Dwayne Haskins not only lost his job, but then was demoted to quarterback 3. Like, we don't even want you anywhere near the field. You won't even be active on Sunday. Yikes! Was it that bad that he can't even be active on Sunday? So, I mean, I get it though. I understand why they did what they did in terms of making him quarterback 3, because they want everyone to know, hey, Alex Smith is ready to go. And if we feel like the time is right, we will put him in the game. We will not hesitate to put Alex in the game. Just so you know. And if Dwayne was number 2 and Alex was still inactive, it would be awkward if Kyle Allen struggles and then Dwayne gets back in and starts to tear it up and you want to play Alex Smith. In order to avoid all of that, you put Alex as your number 2 quarterback, and if Kyle struggles, Alex Smith goes in. And this whole storybook, fairy tale story that we've watched unfold gets a ending. We don't know if it's going to be a happy ending or not, but it's going to get an ending that I didn't expect. I never thought this guy would play football again, ever. And he is literally one injury or a couple of bad performances away from being the starting quarterback of the Washington football team again. And I never saw that coming. I didn't. But I don't think we've seen the last of Dwayne Haskins starting in Washington. I really don't, because I don't think Kyle Allen is the answer, and I don't think Alex Smith ultimately is the answer. But one thing Alex Smith can do if he gets the opportunities, he can manage the game. And if the defense plays better, they haven't been good. This is what everybody continues to miss in all of this. Oh, it's Dwayne's fault. It's this, it's that. Did Dwayne fumble on Sunday? Or was that J.D. McKissick? I forget. Did Dwayne miss a 54-yard field goal? Or was that Dustin Hopkins? I forget. Did Dwayne take the offense down the field, score a touchdown, and then immediately give up a touchdown on defense? Or was that the defense? I forget. Did Dwayne cut it to a two-score game again later in the game and then have the defense give up another score? Or was that the defense again? I forget. So it's not just Dwayne's fault. However, there are things that are being missed on the field. There are plays being left on the field. As a wise man once told me, there's meat being left on the proverbial bone for this team offensively. And a lot of that does have to do with Dwayne Haskins. And so is Alex Smith going to clean the bone? I've seen a lot of bones thrown in the trash with a lot of meat left on them with Alex Smith on the field. If you really think Alex Smith is cleaning the bone, biting off the end and sucking out the bristle, you're wrong, because he's not. Alex Smith doesn't properly know how to eat a chicken. Okay? Just in case you think that this is going to magically get better, Alex Smith is Captain Check Down for a reason. He didn't just get that nickname. He earned it the hard way. So if you think this offense is all of a sudden going to be explosive, you're complaining and bitching about check downs now? You're going to bring in the check down champ here in a second. So I don't know what people are expecting. I will say this. With Alex Smith, you're going to win football games if the defense is better, and we think the defense is better. With Kyle Allen, you may win a couple of games because he knows the offense better, and he's going to make some plays that Dwayne was unwilling to make, or at least take the risk to make. But at the end of the day, what this move says to me is that you were never my guy. This is what Ron Rivera is saying to Dwayne. You were never my guy. I inherited you. I wanted to give you a chance because I saw the talent, but I didn't take this job because of you. I took this job because of the defense and having the number 2 pick in the draft and having a chance to draft Chase Young. I took this job because I was excited about this defense. I wasn't excited about you. And so I was all in on giving you an opportunity to see what you would do with it. You didn't do what I thought you were going to do with this opportunity. And so you're not my guy, and I'm going to move on now. I appreciate all that you've done, but we've seen enough. And so they're going to draft a quarterback. Unless something crazy happens, Dwayne gets back in and all of a sudden tears it up, which I just don't see happening. They're drafting a quarterback next year. Now, here's the problem you find yourself in. Washington fans, they seem to be thick in the skull, some of them at least. They don't understand this premise. We're not going to be bad enough to draft any quarterback in the top 7. We may ultimately have the 10th pick in the draft. I think we're going to be outside of the top 10. I firmly believe that. And with this move that they're making, if there was this notion of wanting to tank, you keep Dwayne Haskins in. He's the guy that gives you the least amount of chance to win. I don't know about Kyle Allen, but at least he knows the offense better. He's going to turn it over, though, I believe. I think Dwayne probably gives you a better chance than Kyle Allen. We'll see. I could be wrong about that. Kyle Allen won some games last year for Carolina before he imploded. But ultimately, they're going to get to Alex Smith before it's all said and done if Kyle Allen doesn't get it done. And Alex Smith, if nothing else, he knows how to win games. He's not the same Alex, I don't think, from a mobile standpoint. But Alex knows how to read defenses, how to get the football out of his hands quickly, get the ball into his playmakers' hands. They'll scheme up an offense that allows Alex Smith to distribute the football, which he's been a distributor his entire career. So for whatever that's worth, we're not going to have a top 10 pick. So they're going to have to make a move. If they love one of these quarterbacks, they're going to have to mortgage some of their draft. And for most of us fans, we weren't looking to do that because we've got a lot of holes on this team that we'd like to fill with young draftable players. But in order to get up there, and you got to fix the quarterback position before you fix anywhere else. Would you like a game-changing linebacker? Would you like a complement to Terry at receiver? Would you like a difference-making tight end? Absolutely. But you know what trumps all of those positions? Yeah, you guessed it, the quarterback position. So in my mind, they're going to draft a quarterback. And if that means a first-round pick this year, swapping with someone, the second rounder this year, and one of their thirds that they have this year, if that's what that means, if that means their first this year, so swapping first, a first next year or a second next year, and a third this year, that's what it's going to take. That's what they'll probably have to do to get up to number 5 or the number 3 or the number 2 or ultimately the number 1 to get the guy that they so desire. We'll see what happens, but after this move, I don't think the answer at the quarterback position of the future is on the roster right now. So that's that. In any event, let's move on to social media maneuvers. And this is when you guys get to take over the show. If you want to have your comment read, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air if it is pertinent. Now, I see a lot of people watching this video right now currently, so we're not going to be able to get to every single comment. If you want to skip to the front of the line, if you have something that you deem to be important to say, the best way to get your comment read is a super chat. All right, and especially with all this traffic in the comment section, if you want to jump to the front of the line and have a real discussion, super chats are the way to do it. If you want to just have your comment read and run the risk of it not getting read, but you still want to have a chance to get in line, you want to go in, and this is DMV style. You want to just get in line, take a ticket, get in line, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. If you haven't already done so too, what are you waiting on? Go ahead and sub up the channel, LouieTeeNetwork. Go ahead and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also make sure that you like this video. There are a lot of you in the comment section right now. Make sure you like this video as well. So with that being said, let's get to the comment section. If there are no comments, we will just move on. I've said a lot already today. So let's see, we got a comment here from Evan Cahall says, what do you think about Cooley saying Terry isn't a number 1? He said that a long time ago. I think he's starting to come around. I haven't been listening to the podcast lately. I've got a lot of catching up to do. I'm like 2 weeks behind on the Kevin Sheehan Show podcast. So I've been so busy. The only time I really listen to the podcast is when I go to the gym. So I'm way behind on the podcast, but I know where I left off on the podcast, which was leading to the Browns game. He's starting to come around to Terry being a number 1. Now, he may have more recently said Terry's not a number 1, but it sounded like a guy that was understanding that this guy can be a number 1. And that's what I was hearing. Before the season, he wasn't convinced that Terry was a number 1. He may have doubled down on that after watching the film, which if he does, that's his prerogative. He can believe what he wants. But I've seen nothing to dissuade me in Terry being a number one. He's beating everyone. He's beating every corner. And this is going to be another big test for him. If he's healthy, he's going to have Jalen Ramsey shadowing him all game long. And I want to see what he does against Jalen Ramsey, because every test that has been put in front of him, he's passed. So for me, I don't understand how you can come to that conclusion at this point of his career. He's done nothing but ball when given the opportunity to do so. So again, I think those are old comments. If he's made some new ones that I'm not privy to, and then I disagree with him. But I think he's starting to come around to the notion that Terry's a legit number one in this league. I think he's starting to understand that, but we will see. Let's see if there are any more comments. All right, got no more comments. So we will then move right along to garbage time. So we've got a week 5 slate coming at us on Friday. We will, I will give out my picks, but we've got a Thursday night football game, and it's a juicy one. You got the Buccaneers and the Bears, and this should be really fascinating football, because the Bears are one of the few teams in the NFC that play defense. And I'm not sure that many teams in the NFC conference that are any good play defense. So the Bears are one of the few. They gave up 19 points, and it's not like the Colts or some juggernaut of an offense, because they're not. However, the Colts, they're capable of scoring some points, and they reduced them to 19 points. And I've said this many a times. You hold a team to less than 20, you should win 8 times out of 10. That just happened to be one of those 2 times that you're not going to win. And they were held to 11 points. But I think with the struggles of, Brady sometimes throwing these picks, you could see, and I think that if you can rush the quarterback, you can make Brady a little uncomfortable. I think the Bears can get after Tom Brady in this game and make him uncomfortable, maybe force him into a mistake or two, maybe force a fumble of Brady in this game and make things really interesting. That Buccaneers defense early in the season looked really good, but of late they've looked, Chargers moved the football effectively on them, scored 31 points. This Bears offense isn't the Chargers in terms of the weapons that they have. But I once said that the Chargers offense was going to be offensively challenged this year. So the fact that you could have a situation here where this, Chargers offense all of a sudden can score is really a testament to Justin Herbert and his ability to lead that offense. And so going back to Tyrod Taylor doesn't make a ton of sense for me, but I guess we'll attack that discussion when it arises, because their head coach, Anthony Lynn, has already said, hey, when he's healthy, he's our starting quarterback. I don't agree with that, especially after seeing Justin Herbert play the way that he's played to this point. But that's nor here nor there. You get back to the Bears and their offense. It was a rough go of it in week 4 with Nicholas Foles making his first start as Bears starting quarterback. That being said, he's more than capable of, and this is with a full week of practice. This is with him, there was a little probably bit of nervous energy in there. You're coming in, your first time starting for this team. They're 3-0, a lot of pressure on you to keep the party going. He didn't do it. All right, now that monkey's off your back. You're no longer undefeated. You've gotten your first start out of the way. Now and that was your first game without Tariq Cohen as well. I think that also hurt them. And not to say that Tariq Cohen was this dynamic Christian McCaffrey type of presence in their offense, but he still was a guy that they game planned to put in specific plays to try to get him involved every single week, and he was a difference maker. So not having him hurt them, they've got to make the adjustment now. He's not coming back this season. He's done for the year, and they're going to have to play better on offense if they want any chance of beating Tampa Bay. But I think this could be a much lower scoring game than we think it's going to be, because the Bucs have put up some points the last couple of weeks. As a matter of fact, 38 this past week, 31 the week before versus Carolina. No, Carolina was week 2, and 28 versus the Broncos in week number 3. So they've been scoring some points lately. We'll see if they continue to do that. I'd be shocked if they made it to 28 in this game. I really would, because I think this Bears defense is capable of making this a low-scoring affair. And when I say low-scoring, I'm talking 23 to 17, 23 to 16, something along those lines. I still don't know if the Bears have enough offensively to take down the Bucs, but they're dealing with some injuries. Mike Evans injured himself again in the game on Sunday. He's been playing injured. I surmise he's going to go, but on a short week, whereas he's had a whole week to get treatment and be prepared to play. Maybe he's a questionable guy this week. I don't think they're going to have Chris Godwin again this week. They could be in some trouble, could Tampa Bay, if Mike Evans can't go. Now, Scotty Miller and Justin Watson and all these other guys have made themselves viable targets for Tom Brady, but you're also losing O.J. Howard. He tore his Achilles up. He's done for the season. So a guy that really hasn't been a massive fixture of this offense, and Gronk, is going to have to step up. So at the end of the day, I think this is going to be a fun game. I think the Bears are going to be able to limit the Buccaneers' effectiveness offensively, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to score enough points to win that football game. But it would not shock me in the least if the Bears forced 3 turnovers in this game and won this game, 20 to 16, or won this game, 20 to 19 on a last-second field goal, which I know most Bears fans dread the thought of having to kick a game-winning field goal because their field goal kicking situation has not been ideal. But at the end of the day, I think this is a game that could be low-scoring, and the team with the ball last could ultimately win. And we know Nicholas Foles is not afraid to go toe-to-toe with Tom Brady. We've seen it, before, and this will be the first time that we'll see it again since that Super Bowl in 2017 when Nicholas Foles was sparkling in defeating Tom Brady in the New England Patriots as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, on the 98th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I thank you guys for joining me. Remember, I'm going to be live tonight for Washington Football Nightly. We'll hear from Ron Rivera at some point today. We'll hear from Kyle Allen, the new starting quarterback of the Washington Football Team, today as well. So we will have a lot to discuss. We'll chew on this Dwayne topic some more because I know a lot of you want to chime in, and also a lot of people weren't able to be here in this particular comment section that will be available later on tonight. So we'll rehash some of the things that I spoke about today later on tonight. Also, there's a video out on why I feel like Dwayne Haskins got benched, and I show you the play that I think got him benched. So if you haven't checked that video out, it's up on YouTube right now. Check out the video, and it's a film breakdown. I give you a snippet of my Patreon film breakdown that was just an inexcusable decision by Dwayne, and I think it's those types of decisions. That wasn't why he was ultimately benched. It's a cumulative effect. He's done a lot of things wrong to land himself in his position, but that play was the straw that broke the camel's back. You can't have that if you're Ron Rivera and Scott Turner. You can't have misses like that, and so that's the play that got him benched, if you ask me. And also, you have to kind of take into consideration the division, as I mentioned as well. That's what prompted all of this. If this division were better, we're not having this discussion, but this division stinks, and they feel like they've got an opportunity in year one to win the division. They don't want to allow that to pass them by. They're going to go after this thing, and so you're seeing this change being made. I do have a super chat, so I'll take that on the way out. This super chat is from Big Money Sonny. Thank you for the super chat. Big Money Sonny writes, "What's good, Lou? A lot of simpletons in the chat are still delusional about Haskins. Let's be real, though. He is done in D.C. Peace, homie." I think he is done in Washington. It's unfortunate. I didn't want to come to that conclusion after 4 games this season and 11 starts total for his career. I've talked about Josh Allen and his maturation and how the Bills just stuck with him even though it wasn't pretty early on, and they're reaping all of the benefits of that now. And I thought that there was a chance that there could be, that kind of redemption for Dwayne down the line if they just gave him the opportunity to get there. But there are some things, and I've showed you this in the film. So if you're not on Patreon, what are you waiting on? You're missing out on a lot of important, integral details about why this is going on. There's a lot of stuff being missed. And the guy that I saw last year that was confident, that was a playmaker, I'm not seeing that guy this year. And so the regression feels real from Dwayne. And, there are a lot of reasons why, and there are a lot of excuses you can make for him. But at the end of the day, there are just certain fundamental things that you expect from a guy like Dwayne that we saw last year that we're not seeing this year, that there's really no excuse for it. And I think the staff had seen enough. And so this isn't the first time they've sat him down and had a discussion about what they were looking for from him. And I thought he went out and he played safe on Sunday. And safe isn't what they were looking for. The interceptions weren't the problem 2 weeks ago. That's what everybody wants to keep harping on. Oh, he threw 3 interceptions. He fumbled. 4 turnovers. That's why we lost the game. No, we lost the game because the defense couldn't get a stop after those turnovers. That's why we lost the game. Young quarterbacks are going to make mistakes. It wasn't the mistakes. It's the misses. It's not seeing open receivers. It's not going through your progressions properly. It's not making plays when plays are there to be made. It's not escaping the pocket when there's a rush lane for you to take. It's not extending a play when you can get out of the pocket and maybe put stress on a defense. It's a lot of things that he hasn't done. The film lays that out beautifully. And so if you're not on Patreon, you're missing out. But in any event, I'm going to glide to the side. I got more film to watch. Going to break down Washington's defensive performance versus the Ravens. So I'll see you guys much later tonight, 8:30 p for Washington Football Nightly Live. Until then, you guys know what it is. If it's not your man T, it's not, I repeat, not the best NFL coverage it could be. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Take care. See you next time. See you on Friday with my money picks of the week. Louie T.